Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the Metro Auto Rebuild Weekend Warriors League. This is round number 8 of this season, coming to you today from Monza. My name is Ron Maunz. Alongside me and back alongside me here in the Monza Imola. Coming to you today from Imola. My name is Ron Maunz. Alongside me in the commentary booth, I know for sure is Charles Beauchel. It's not Adam this week, and working on the cameras and the graphics, it's the virtual production hauler. If I'm confusing one Italian for another, is Giuseppe Farina. Well, Charles, welcome in. We've got a darn good race. Love you, Guido. It's been a long day. I was up until 2 o'clock in the morning last night on another show, so we're here to have some fun here at Imola, which is the actual track that we're racing at here. Different than Monza, very, very different. This track pretty much different on every single end of the board because this track is tight, twisty, technical, just as old school. Does have that fast section throughout it as well, but these Spec Racer Fords are going to give us one hell of a show here today.
Yeah, Ron, it's good to be back in the booth here with you. Yeah, it's going to be one of those races. Very technical track, as you said. It is not Monza; it is Imola, and it is has its own kind of personality. You really have to be on point here. You got to keep the car on the track surface within track limits, and that is going to be part of the things that we're going to have to watch out for today, but I'm really looking forward to it. This is a fun track to drive, and it's a great track to do a broadcast from.
And this, of course, is Imola instead of Monza. You know, that's the first time I've done that on the air in years, probably. So, hey, happens to the best of us. But it's been a darn good season here for the Spec Racer Fords. And to kind of underscore that, let's take a look at the championship point standings as we head off into this 8th round of the season. Cade Halliburton sits atop of the pole in Spec 1. 642 points is his present tally. Nathaniel Schramm is slotted in second at 594. They are well clear of Jason Green, slotted in third. Joshua Justice in fourth. And Dirk Braun, your reigning Spec 2 champion, slotted in P5. He's had darn good. He's a little bit under the radar, but still very good nonetheless. Now we take a look at Spec 2, where things have been very, very competitive in the Spec 2 category throughout the entirety of the Weekend Warriors, frankly. And the Spec Racer Fords no different. Alexander Gorson sits on top of the championship points lead currently. 427 points is his present tally. 11 in front of Matt Thompson in second. Dmitry Lukanov is slotted in third with Paul Jackson and Byron Rycroft completing your top 5. And now we will look at the Masters category, where Jurg Monty is your current points leader. 402 points is the tally right now. Chris Thorpe is slotted in second. Brad Cathcart is right behind in third. Not a lot of points between Thorpe and Cathcart in second and third. Antonio Reese is slotted in fourth with Kurt Nunez completing your top 5. So that's how it looks in the championship points as we continue to move along throughout this season. But Charles, this is going to be a tough race. So you want to run through the keys for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's bring the keys up. And the chicanes and the curbs here are absolutely deadly. You got to be on point here, getting that car through the corners. You get off too wide and through the chicanes, and those sausage curbs creep in, and they'll just flip your car upside down. That's all there is to it. Use the draft to get your passes done early. There are a couple really good draft areas. Obviously, the front straight being the main one. You get a good toe down through there. Get the car through and get through turn 1, the little kink that we call turn 1. Get that pass made before you get into the to get set up for the chicane. And I think that's the key there. And then finally, once again, track limits. Very, very difficult here. Lots of little hidden off tracks that you're going to have to keep an eye on. And it wouldn't surprise me that we see a few drive through today because of the off tracks.
Yeah, would not be too surprised if that comes to pass. This is a tough racetrack. It's kind of known for testing the limits of drivers, and sometimes the drivers test the limits of this track back, that being the track limit. So I have to keep an eye on that all throughout this 40-minute long race that we have coming up. So early on in qualifying, 5 minutes left. Nathaniel Schramm sits on top of the pole at the moment, currently in the number 26 car. Dmitry Lukanov top of Spec 2, as right now it is Antonio Reese leading in in the Masters category. But let's do an onboard lap with Yanqi Lin as he heads his way out of turn number 15 onto the start-finish straightaway. I'm just going to refer to exclusively the corner numbers because I don't want to kill any of the Italian name pronunciations, because I do not want to get killed by our producer here today. Heading our way down that start-finish straightaway through the bend in the road that is marked as turn number 1 into Tamburello here for the first chicane. This section, of course, was changed following the events of the 1994 San Marino Grand Prix. This was not the only change made to the track, though, as we head our way out of turn number 4 down the small little flat-out blast into the Villeneuve chicane right about now. On the brakes, down a gear potentially, and hitting the curbs he's gonna go. Super tough section to try and nail down. I always feel like that chicane is surprisingly tricky, but now here's a tough hairpin at Toza, turn number 7 here on this lap. Always tricky to try and find the exit there with that curve that kind of blends into the horizon. You gotta get a good run there as you head your way up the hill out of 7 into turn number 8 of Piatella. I probably killed that. I will go Piatella. I apologize, Guido. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Guido. I am not Italian. I am a dumb American. Into Aqua Minerale, we're gonna go through turns number 9 and 10. See, I redeemed myself. Second tries the charm there, even though it was the first time of me saying that. And now, technically, it's Grassini. Is that correct? Grassini. This 11 and 12 section was Variante Alta for the longest time, but they have rechanged the name of this turn. The killer curbs on the inside through there going to be deadly for the Spec Racer Fords. Got to keep the momentum rolling as they head their way down into Ravazza of turn number 14 and 15. I think I did pretty all right for myself with some of the pronunciations. I think it has more so been a pronunciation guide than a track guide, but you could just see from the steering movements of Yanqi Lin. Very tough racetrack to try and handle. There's a lap, and I don't think I'm going to get ostracized from ever visiting Italy.
I don't think so. I think you did a pretty good job, except for Piratella, and I think otherwise you did pretty well. So yeah, Antonio Reese jumped up to the top of the qualifying order with a 158.45. So hey, look at that. Master, Spec 1, Spec 2, top 3 in the grid with about 2 minutes left in qualifying. So we got about 2 laps of qualifying space before we wrap up the quali session here and roll over into the race session. It's just, this track, and you mentioned it, Ron, just very, very, it's probably one of the tracks that's probably got some of the tightest track limits in iRacing. Just there's not a lot of room for error. And with the way these cars drive, they kind of slide around a little bit. You kind of really got to lean on the tires. It's going to make it very difficult, which is why I kind of threw the key out there that we may see a lot of drive-throughs during this race. But as you can see here, the draft with Antonio Reese there, and you see a whole group of cars there. As a little argy-bargy back there with Chris Murakami and somebody else. Could not see who that was. But as you can see, Chris moving over, trying to get out of the way, and the car just kind of followed him, was trying to make the move around. So it's one of those things you have to watch out for. And once again, you see how the curbs there going through those 2 chicanes, through the first chicane, Tamburello, and here through Villeneuve is those curbs. You just really, especially on the exit, you're trying to get back on the throttle. If you catch those sausage curbs on the inside of the apex, the car is just going to go basically airborne, and then you're just hanging on for dear life until you get the car settled back down.
It's like I see a driver spearing off the track, heading down into turn number 7 of Toza. Bumpers flying here, and I'm going to give it a second whirl as we see them head their way up the hill into turn number 8 of Piratella. I'll give it the American pronunciation. I was hearing Guido in my ear, and the rolling R sounded like an L to me. So I was like, it's not Pilatella, is it? I was like, I always thought it was Piratella. So there we go.
It does sound very similar with that rolling R for sure.
As I nearly just yanked my mixing board off of my desk, moving my headphone wire. I am all over the place here on this show as these drivers are keeping their fingers crossed that they won't be all over the racetrack themselves with the checkered flag at now in qualifying. We're going to run through the end of the session for you. Ian Joyner sits atop of the pole at a 158.253. We'll see what Antonio Reese can do with about a 0.2 of a second gap between those 2 cars. Let's see what Nathaniel Schramm can do. Was your pole sitter once we got live with the show, currently slotted in 25th as he gained 0.4 of a second to jump into that pole and gain 0.4. He will not P5 for your current third place runner in that Spec 1 category. Dmitry Lukanov with a late call to come down pit lane. That's going to do it for him. He's currently slotted in fourth. Claudio Gardini. Now see him out here on the racetrack in the number 33 car. It's been a while since we saw Claudio out there on the circuit, but running nicely in 8th here in this session with not a lot of time left. Still expecting some cookers. Just saw a cooker there from Alexander Gorson. He jumps into 2nd in Spec 2 and 11th overall. Dmitry Lukanov still clear of the rest of the field as we see Dirk Braun pulled over to the side of the road. Not going to see another time from him. Daniel Wood going to come into the pits instead of come across the line. As we're also keeping an eye on Mr. Joshua Wilkie. I want to see how he can do out here on the racetrack because I wasn't able to judge how he did in the booth earlier in the Formula Ford show.
Well, he did a good job in the booth. It was very helpful. I love the 15-minute warning of, hey, by the way, you're leading for the broadcast, and Josh is going to be here with you. But obviously, Josh, great guy, does a lot of the work in the background and make sure we get paid every month. So did a great job in the booth as usual, and but looking forward to seeing what he does on the track. That did not get a lot of practice, so. Hopefully Josh is going to play the patience game and just kind of let other people make the mistakes and get the car around and see if he can get a good result.
So let's see what Josh can do in that 777 car. Nice to see him out there on the racetrack, recovering from foot surgery he had a little while ago. Got the stitches removed and everything. And I do apologize for not giving any more heads up to you, Charles, but I will give myself some defense by saying I do enough goddamn things here that I can slack on at least one or two things every now and then. As waiting for qualifying to come to an end, everybody is out there in pit lane, so it looks like Ian Joyner will start this race from the pole position. Antonio Reese, who won in Masters last time at VIR, got to look to try and keep that momentum rolling as he's had some pretty darn good results throughout this season. Some overall podiums across the Weekend Warriors world. You'll have to see Antonio running strong out there on the racetrack. But as we get to the end of qualifying and switch our attention into the race session here soon, I'll remind you all that when it comes to repairing your vehicle after an accident, you'll hear a lot of different terms thrown around like aftermarket or reconditioned parts, blend within the panel, spot refinish, direct repair program. The list really goes on and on. Before we make any final decisions, though, ask us for the true definition of those words. In most cases, they may not be the best thing for your car. If you want your vehicle restored using factory methods and specifications with OEM-required tools and equipment, depend on the professionals at Metro Auto Rebuild, the sponsor of this season of Spec Race Ford Action. We'll give you honest answers about the repair process, your rights, and your responsibilities. You want someone there who's with you every single step of the way. We'll get you back on the road safely, timely, and with our guarantee that you will love our workmanship. Please let us answer any questions you have about the repair process. We're here to answer your questions about estimates, insurance company coordination, and billing, as well as rental car coordination too. Visit our website anytime at MetroAutoRebuild.com. We'd like to thank Metro Auto Rebuild for sponsoring this season of Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors action. And as you can see the drivers lining up, let's take a look at the starting grid here for the 8th round of this season. It's going to be Ian Joyner starting from the pole. Antonio Reese going to join him on the front row. Felix Moes will start in 3rd. Alongside him will be your Spec 2 pole sitter of Dmitry Lukanov. Nathaniel Schramm will start in 5th. Kane Lasky will start in 6th. It's going to be Martin Visser in 7th. Claudio Gardini will start this race in 8th. Aleix Pleva will start this race in 9th, with Joshua Justice completing your top 10.
Yeah, Alexander Gorson starts in P11. Christoph Van Langendonk starting in P12. Kevin Adrian 13th. Yongshi Lin in 14th. Dirk Braun 15th. Joaquin Osbeck starting in 16th. Dan Wood starts in P17. Rich Meesters starts in P18. Jason Green in 19th. Jorg Monty rounding out your top 20.
And I'm looking through the rest of the field outside the top 20. The list goes on with Matt Thompson in 21st. Adam Bradshaw in 22nd, Chris Murakami in 23rd, Andrew Love in 24th. It'll be Andy Middleton starting this race in 25th alongside Mr. SMB, Mr. Joshua Wilkie in the 777 car. It's Kurt Nunez starting this race in 27th. Alongside him will be Steve Saunders, with Andres Svoboda starting this race in 29th, and Tom Gradwell starting alongside, completing your top 30.
Yeah, Edgar Santinelli starting in 31st. Chris Thorpe starting in 32nd. Brad Cathcart starts 33rd. Jerome Sater starting in 34th. Steven Tucker starts in 35th. Sergio Dorelli, the Argentine, starting in 36th. Good to see him back. Jeff Jacobson's 37th. Michele Vellini starting in 38th. And Angel Soto rounds out your 39 car field, and they're rolling.
Yeah, we are rolling for this pace lap, heading their way through. I need to come up with some like intentionally bad pronunciations just to annoy Guido in the production truck. Aquae
please don't.
Minerali. There we go. And we're off the air. But no, this is going to be a darn good race. I think we said this last week, Adam and I, when the Meower was in the booth. We got the catnip out this week, thankfully. But this track does feel like a bit of a venture off into the unknown here in these SRFs.
Yeah, it really does. It's not something you normally see here, but this track obviously I think gets a lot of use, especially with the bigger series, and the Porsche Cups run here quite a bit as well. So you know, a single make race kind of fits the mold for Imola, and so we got to get this race rolling here, and we got to get a good clean start. Obviously, the first chicane is going to be very critical. Hopefully, these guys get lined up and get lined up in single file, and we have a good start to this race.
I'm hoping it's going to be a clean start. It's a long run down to the first heavy braking zone into the Tamburello chicane. So let's see who's going to come out of this race smelling like a bed of roses and who may be on the back foot early waiting for that green flag to come out, which it has now. And the drivers are on their way. We're racing at Imola, and Ian Joyner gets off to an absolute flyer of a start. Everybody else behind kind of caught napping at the lights as they head their way down into the Tamburello chicane. It's going to be Ian Joyner leading over Felix Samoz, over Nathaniel Schramm, who's side by side with Antonio Reese as they head their way through the chicane. Dmitry Lukanov dropping down a spot, but still holds on to P5 as that's a driver in the fence a little bit farther behind.
Yeah, like Steven Tucker in the back. It looks like he locked it up or maybe hit the wall, or we'll see. We'll get a replay here, but that is Steven Tucker, the 913 car, all the way in the back. But a good start by everybody else. Nice, clean start, even though we got too wide through a few of the chicanes. Everybody was able to get through safely.
So everybody has been able to negotiate the first half of this lap smoothly as they head their way through Piratella of turn number 8, who's going to be able to get their way through this mid-sector the best. Sector 2 is the tightest and most technical spot of this racetrack. You think about it, you've got, I'm pretty sure it starts before Toza of turn number 7 and runs all the way through into the entry of Ravata. I think it may be right before turn 13 under the bridge, the very fast right-handed kink where the middle sector ends. But either way is sliced and very twisty. Very old school through this part of the track as well. And if you make a mistake through here, you are going to be done for. Ian Joyner hasn't, though, as he clobbers a curb through the chicane and is going to hold on to the race lead still.
Yeah, absolutely. Good start. Like once again, I was thinking Michele Bellini in the back with a slowdown, got that cleared. So it looks like Angel Bonilla or Angel Soto did not take the start of the race. So he is out. So with 38 cars on track, obviously Steven Tucker already in the pits. I believe he may have disconnected as well. So unfortunate. So down to 37 cars as the draft is ramping up here as they make their way down the front straight for the to end the first lap.
As here we go, the game of leapfrog flaring up at the front as Antonio Reese going to try and hop in front of Ian Joyner, and he gets it done, heading down into the Tamburello chicane. Antonio Reese is now your race leader. Ian Joyner sliding P2s. That's your driver going off in the back a little bit farther behind. That's Martin Visser in the 137. He gets shuffled off the road into the gravel trap and through the grass on the outside of Tamburello. He goes, and he's going to drop his way from running firmly inside the top 10 to maybe falling outside the top 20. In fact, he's shuffled all the way back down to P17. We'll look to try and get his bearing straight as he heads his way off through more time twisties with some dirt on his tires. The chicanes around here are absolutely brutal. You've got three different kinds of chicanes, frankly. You got the rather open ones in the form of Villeneuve, the rather fiddly ones in the form of Tamburello, and then you also have Variante Alta, which is just absolutely brutal. As that right there is Jeff Jacobs and Steven Tucker's coming together.
Yeah, and just fighting over a spot, trying to get to the inside line on the start of the race. You gotta be a little more patient here at the start and just kind of work your way through. As we see Josh Wilkie working his way to the inside, and a little tap there, and that was Josh around. I could not see who that car was that came through there, but gave him just a little tap in the rear and spun him out. So he's going to be back to the back of the pack. and trying to do a real recoup as he's already in the pits. So that he may, we'll see if he comes back out on the track after that. We're on here with Sater. Yep, and there's what not to do when going through those chicanes. You do not want to clip those sausage curbs on the inside of the apex, and you see why, just how much, how violent that bump is as they go through there.
Take a look at another angle of Josh's off-track moment, heading his way into the gravel trap. Not the start that Wilkie had in mind, as I think it was him coming together with Jeff Jacobson as he rejoined the track, and that is going to cause him to tow back to pit lane. I think Josh may decide to call it a day from there. Unfortunate for him. You will hear him, you will see him back on the air. Oh my goodness! Alace Plava just hopped the berm and nearly went to low Earth orbits.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, that's what we talked about, is you got to be very careful. You have to be very, very direct on those entries into the chicanes. Otherwise, you get this, and this is going to get an onboard. You're going to get a little bounce in your step as he just takes that one, and then too much, and then over that one and into the wall. And you saw how much air he got off the first one, and then just basically nothing you can do. And so now you got to go through the second set of curbs as well, and you see the result, and Pleva into the wall, and he's going to drop down in the order as well, as we got more racing here with Dirk Braun. Ozbeck on the outside. I don't know if Dirk realized he was there or not, but just, Dirk trying to move to the outside of the track, and there was already a car in that position.
Yeah, that was a messy moment for all the racers in that pack when they headed their way through Tamburello. Not only did he have Alace Plava nearly strike the moon, he also had Dirk Braun and Joachim Osbeck involved in that coming together as they headed their way out of 4 in that small little flat app blast before the Villeneuve chicane. That could be Dirk Braun pulling over to the side of the road. He gets it back rolling eventually, just needed an opportunity to get his bearings straight and rejoin the racetrack without any further incident. Despite the fact that lap 1 was clean, as we settled into this race, the challenge of Imola has most certainly come out to strike these racers right on the top of their noggin.
Yeah, absolutely. As we have Van Langendonk coming into the pits for a stop, getting out of the traffic. I think he might just said, you know what, I need some clean air. 6 minutes in, though, might be a little bit early. I'm not sure he's going to be able to make it unless he's got damage and he just needs to be repaired. Probably not going to be able to make it to the end on fuel. With a stop at the 6 minute mark of this race, as we got the top 5. Then we got a big gap back to Kane Lasky and P6 as the top 5 are starting to check out a bit. Don't know how much fuel saving they're going to be able to do up there at the front racing this hard. I don't think this is a track where you can do just a lot of fuel saving. Maybe down the front straight, maybe coming out of Aqua Minerale up the hill. Probably not the best idea either. So I'm not really sure how much fuel they're going to be able to save during the course of this race, as we see Antonio Reese with a slowdown. That's going to drop him down to P3. Got to get that cleared, and not quite done yet. I think it's cleared now, though, so he's going to slot back in the third position with directly in front of Felix Samoas and Dmitry Lukanov.
As we see the pack of the front still rather tight. The packs behind are still rather tightly formed too. We follow Steve Saunders in the midst of this little train of cars as Claudio Gardini, he's going to have a moment that's heading off through Aqua Minerale, hops over the curb, a hop, skip, and a jump as he heads his way through into the 11 and 12 chicane. He dips down now into 12th. So quick little off-track moment through there. That Aqua Minerale section, the Spec Racer Fords, is absolutely brutal, because if there's one thing a Spec Racer Ford car really doesn't like to do, it is slowing down and slamming on the brakes as you are actively turning.
Yeah, absolutely. And the elevation changes here in the corners are obviously not conducive for the Spec Racer with no ABS. You're really susceptible to lockups, especially on the downhill runs into corners. And Aqua Minerale is just tough. It doesn't matter what car it is. It's just a difficult corner to try and navigate. I've seen it with other cars and other series as well. It's just one of those places that you're going to get caught out a lot of times with the Adam Bradshaw closing the gap and losing it there. A little too much curb. And that was, what'd you say, Graziani? Is that the new name? Is that correct? Grazzini. Okay. So Garzini is the new name for Variante Alta. So it's going to take me a minute I just heard that today for the first time. So We'll see if we can get that into my collective memory here. As just taking those curbs, even in that chicane is still difficult. There's Josh Justice, same thing. Curb on the inside of the first corner, just carries it over. It makes it into the second part of that chicane as well, and that's just going to be the order of the day, I believe.
You know, with how brutal the curbs are here at Imola, I would not be shocked if there were chiropractors in the area of this racetrack that were making quite a decent living, as that was Michele Viglini overcooking it big time down into the Tamburello chicane, trying to get moved on Alace Pleva, who has rejoined the racetrack. Speaking of chiropractor, he probably had to go visit one after that curb whack through the Tamburello chicane. That is probably the most amount of air that I've seen a Spec Racer Ford car get heading through the chicane. Probably, if it is second to anyone, it's second to Felix Samoas, who I remember damn near struck the moon a couple of seasons ago at Zolder, but that's definitely a bit of a question mark as well, considering that racetrack has some absolutely lethal curbs too. Those sausage curbs, they are such a
yeah.
You know, if the nation of Italy ever want to go to the moon, they should launch their mission off of those.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And it's not just these; it does that with basically every car. I think there was one. It might have been Samoa's as well at Winton. There's a set of curbs on the outside that basically is like a ramp that sent somebody off. And I could have been Samoa's. It could have been somebody else. But it's been several seasons ago. But I remember that one also. But yeah, these curbs. It doesn't matter what car you're in. I've seen it with the Formula 3s as we raced here with SRG a couple of seasons ago. I've seen it just in my own racing with GTs and with LMP2s. So it's not just the SRFs that get launched here. It's pretty much everything as we're on here with Rich Meesters. Just a little too late on the brakes there. I'm trying not to go to a Happy Gilmore reference with his last name, just because somebody out there will get that reference, I think.
If you tune into the Chicago Street Course race that we had a couple of weeks ago, I made an even worse pun from Rich's name. So it's if you want to fire with that, go right ahead. I will say, though, kind of speaking my own mental fortitude, when you're talking about the Sim Racers Group F3 series running at Imola, I was like, man, when did that happen? And then I was like, oh, that was at the start of not this season, but last season. I should know that since I was a producer for that show. Shows you where my brain really is.
And I believe Chairman Meow actually won that race, believe it or not.
That he did. We sprinkled some catnip on the finish line.
I think so. So we get another replay here, and this is Jeff Jacobson, and I'm going to guess this is Tamburello again, and too wide, just too much speed carrying through there. That was Villeneuve. Okay, that was Villeneuve. Just too much speed coming through the chicane, could not carry the corner. Off track, I've seen that done 100 times as well. So absolutely, as we're getting I'm getting some driver feedback here as I've got the driver chat open, and Sergio Dorelli has got some connection issues, as you can see on our timing tower, him bouncing the route, bouncing in and out of consciousness here, as you see him off on the left-hand side of the track. Just trying to stay out of everybody's way. It was a great job by Sergio there, just kind of not be in the mix there, let the cars go through. Hopefully his connection will clear up and he can continue racing again.
Yeah, so clearly the aliens have descended on Imola. It is a little bit foggy out there on the racetrack, so I guess it does make sense that the aliens have found a place to hide. But either way, he's going to be dropping down with those connection issues. We'll have to get back up and rolling. I wonder if there's maybe some slight connection problems with just like iRacing period, because I was doing a broadcast a little bit earlier on, which was part of the reason why I missed out on the other Formula 4. That was also the first Weekend Warriors show that I've had to miss out on since Memorial Day weekend. So I was on a pretty darn good streak, but I think iRacing is having some slight connection issues, because in that show that I was doing earlier, a lot of people were having some ping-related problems. I'm pretty sure the entire field was in like reddish-orange for their ping levels. So not sure whether or not it could be that meme of the shark that bit into a fiber optic cable in the ocean and just took out the world's internet or something like that, because I think a lot more people are having connection problems than we usually see.
Yeah, it happens from time to time, as we're going to get another on board here with Alex Pleva. he's working his way down and that very smart that time. Just said, you know what, I'm not going to make the corner. I'm going to make sure that I don't hit those curbs. And I think he has towed himself back to the pits. That may be a done day for Alish, unfortunately, because he's usually pretty quick and runs up near the front. So I'm sure it's very disheartening for him to have to just drop out of this race, just from having obviously the mistake earlier, and then obviously probably some car issues after that. I'm sure that didn't do much for his suspension.
I'm very happy that Elias Play decided to take the high road and dive down to the gravel trap to avoid making contact with the killer anti-cut curbs heading off through the Tamburello chicane. Otherwise, I was going to have to break out and start singing Rocket Band, and then everybody's ears would bleed. Looking at a battle with Steve Saunders and Matt Thompson a little bit farther behind, Chris Murakami at the front of this train, as you got the likes of Kurt Nunez, Andy Middleton, and Sergio Dorelli right behind, as Middleton kind of a wild approach heading down into the Tamburello chicane. Now, I am not a racing driver. That is not the ideal racing line.
It is not, and I couldn't tell if maybe he got a little tap from behind as the cars kind of checked up going into the corner from Dorelli, or if just basically locked it up, not realizing how much braking the car in front was going to have to do. Either way, you're correct, not the proper line through there, but I don't think any damage to the car, so he can absolutely continue should he want to. I did see I'm not sure what that was, as they're going 2 and 3 wide through corners. It's crazy back here in the back of the pack. Chris Thorpe and Dirk Braun, I believe, having a little bit of contact there coming into the corner. Obviously Dirk way on the outside. That time he was on the outside with the car on the inside, pushing him a little bit further out than he necessarily wanted. Andrew Love in the vicinity, as well as Jeff Jacobson has made his pit stop, and so he's out again. We do have a couple of guys. Brad Cathcart also has pitted and got his pit stop done at the 15, almost 16-minute mark of this race.
I don't know what came out of my throat when I saw them heading their way through Piratella, and it was the slowest accident that I think I've ever seen. It was the accident that never was, as they all managed to keep going somewhat in a straight line. It was definitely a squiggle, but it was they didn't fully loop it, I don't think. So, either way, the fact that it sounded like I sat on a cold toilet seat there, I'm sorry to anybody who was disturbed by that noise. But we do have some pit stops going on now. Kevin Adrian, Edgar Sancinelli, and Andrew Love have all made the decision to run down pit lane. We are firmly in that pit window, despite all the drama and chaos that we've seen thus far in this race. Already 16 and a half minutes in.
Yeah, 16 and a half minutes in, and but the battle up front continues on, or not really a battle, but the straight line that these top 5 are running in, nose to tail, just trying to get the laps clicked off here until we get to the pit stop. You see Steve Saunders there with a yellow flag beside his name, which means he's getting off track to clear somewhere. A little slowdown that's got to be rectified, and there it goes. It did allow Chris Murakami to go around, and Saunders looks like he's missed another corner. So that's going to be Thompson and Nunez getting by as well, as well as Dorelli. So he continues to drop down the order until he gets himself back on the right line and gets settled back in. We got Svoboda here. Oh, a little tight there, and then contact with the car on the inside. Could not see who that was, but as you can see, too wide through these chicanes, probably not the best idea in the world. It looks like it's more harm than good most of the time. Is Svoboda a little too hard on the throttle? Got to get those tires cooled off a little bit before he can do that again.
Yeah, I got to worry about cooling off and cleaning off those tires. So quick little spin back into the gravel for Svoboda as we take a look at Jeff Jacobson. He's had another moment in the 240 car. It's been a rather wild race in all the wrong ways, as he has a big double lock heading down into Ravazza, and he will go for a trip off the circuit into the gravel trap and may decide to pull it over and call it a day. That, or he's just trying to stay out of harm's way and rejoin the race without any further incident. That, or he really wants to examine every single part of that gravel trap, as we got Chris Murakami and Steve Saunders coming in real time.
Yeah, kind of what it looked like. It just car that wouldn't turn in. had basically 90 degrees of left hand down on the wheel, and the car just kept going straight. So obviously, probably had locked the tires up, trying to get the car slowed down for Ravazza, and just couldn't quite get it done, and decided he was just going to stay on the gravel trap as long as he could until all the cars that were behind him cleared. And as we see now, the battle here, this is Bradshaw and Braun Middleton, as well as another car that I missed, the Gradwell as well. Battle here for the P20, as we are going to see Kane Lasky there with a little hiccup on his internet connection as well. So I think what you're saying may be true there, Ron. Maybe a little bit of server issues for iRacing during this event.
Yeah, potentially. There's been a lot of iRacing stuff going on as of late. There was the Suzuka 1000 special event that was just going on, has been going on throughout this week. Of course, everybody running their usual league races throughout the weekend. I know Jimmy Broadbent had his 7th running of the 23 Hours of Zolder, which I know that not only because I was around for the first running of that event, tuning into it from Jimmy's perspective. I had the opportunity to be on that show last night and this morning, in fact, and that's part of the reason why I stand as dead tired as I do, is Antonio Reese makes a call to break away and come down pit lane from the lead. Ever since he jumped into that top spot, he really didn't look back.
Yeah, absolutely. As we were on board there with Langendock, as you see, just once again, too much speed through that chicane. The rear tires just couldn't hang on. As we talk about this week in and week out, how this is these cars are basically mechanical grip only. You don't have a lot of aero downforce. As I try and collapse my lungs. Yep. As not a lot of aero downforce with these cars, so relying on those tires, and obviously some drivers are pushing it just a little over the limit.
Yes, as we see everybody running it to the limit, I think it was a bit of a shame, Charles. You went to the wrong part of Europe, because I believe it's Switzerland that has the Ricola cough drops.
Yeah, I needed to go to I needed to go to Switzerland. These Ukrainian cough drops are not great. I'm just not going to lie about it. But as we look here with Adam Bradshaw and Dirk Braun working their way, and there we go again, and just too much curb. Those curbs, I don't think iRacing will simulate us ripping the top layers off of those curbs, so they'll be a little flatter as the race goes on. So, you're going to hit it now. It's going to do the same thing if you hit it on the last lap as well. You're still going to go flying through the air.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of sausage curbs, if I am being completely honest, especially those anti-cut style of sausage curbs where they're at a pretty much perpendicular angle to the racing a line. It was something that popped up at Austria many moons ago with the 2016 Austrian Grand Prix, as that was Jerome Satter in the number 28 car. That's a spin heading his way out through Ravazza. Brief dip off into the gravel trap, but avoids making any further moments of the sorts, as Ian Joyner has come down pit lane from the race lead, and Nathaniel Schramm, Felix Samoza, and Dmitry Lukinov will be left to be all by their lonesome up at the front.
Yeah, absolutely. As some of the lead cars are coming into the pits, wanting to get out of the battle up front and get some clean air, as we saw Antonio Reese earlier do the same thing. So it leaves 3 in our front group: Schramm, Samoas, and Lukinov. Lasky and Lynn are still battling. Lasky just made a pass on Lynn. That is 4th and 5th place, and they're about 4 seconds or so behind. So they're not out of contention just yet. I think that as we get a little later here in the race, the battles will start heating up. Some passes will be attempted, and that'll tighten that front group up a little bit. So we may end up with 6 or 7 cars in that front group battling for the overall race victory before it's all said and done.
Yeah, could very well see some intense battles as we get to the checkered flag of this race. Doubly so considering we're falling quicker and quicker into crunch time for this season as well. Round number 8 of 11 here in season 4 of 2025 after the Weekend Warriors 10th anniversary special event way back at the start of this season. So getting to the point now where these racers do have to worry about just having good finishes as we get to the end of the championship. Only 3 rounds left to go once we're said and done with this here today, as that's another spin for Jerome Satter. So he will be feeling sadder after that. That was a terrible pun. I apologize.
Yeah, absolutely. It's yeah, though, it had to be done. It might as well have been you. So yeah, it's all good. We've got that out of the way. We don't have to worry about that one again. As we're still watching this battle up front, 1 second between the three cars. And so still getting a little bit further down. I think we'll start seeing some of these front guys coming in around the 30, 31 minute mark as we're clicking off the laps, still with a 1:58.7, I think is the fastest lap by Felix Samoas. And that's what I'm seeing so far. I'm just kind of looking through. And, of course, we got Kane Lasky now pitting. York Monty's in the pits as well. So as business is starting to pick up on pit road, we're starting to see some cars coming in and getting that stop made. Obviously, it being mandatory. Steve Saunders, black flag. That is going to be probably for incidents. Jeff Jacobson has been disqualified for incident points, which we just failed. I just now saw on our timing tower. So Saunders is going to come in and serve that drive-through as well. And looking to see, did he have his pit stop done already? He did. So, yeah, so pit stop done. So he's going to make that another run down pit lane as we're still watching this group up front. Youngsley now by himself. Gorson a couple seconds back running in fifth. Martin Visser just behind him running in sixth place. Gardini, Meesters, Jason Green, and Dan Wood round out your top 10 as it stands now with about, I want to say 15 or 16 cars still yet to pit.
So still a lot of racing left to go here tonight, and lots of opportunities for these racers to claw back some time after some mistakes earlier on, or maybe an opportunity for the racing gods to claw back some time of their own and cause these racers to have more mistakes. This has been a very tough race for these competitors. I wonder how much of that has been down to the track conditions that we have seen all throughout this. Currently sitting at 66 degrees Fahrenheit for that ambient temperature, only 67 Fahrenheit for the track temp, as I say that funny number. And we see a not very funny moment for Sergio Dorelli. Pretty quick spin as he headed his way through into Piratella of turn number 8.
Yeah, a little quick spin, just carrying too much speed. We've seen that. Oh, well, Samoa's, Lynn, Gorson, Visser, Meesters, Green, all in the pits now. Only two cars left out there are Lukanov and Schramm, and they're battling for the lead as they're continuing around. Gardini stays out as well, so he'll end up inheriting third for the time being. And so we get a little bit. I'm sorry, say that again, Guido. The back marker is Sater. Okay, so he is in this mix as well. Yeah, just in front. He's going to move over, let the leaders go through. Very nicely done there by Sater. He's out and around the leaders go with Visser now. There we go. I was just watching the timing tower where he was showing in P1 in the pits. So that has corrected itself. So now he's in the pits sitting in P15 with only 4 cars left. Matt Thompson is the 4th car who has not pitted yet. So they should be coming in within the next, I'd say, 2 or 3 laps.
And our timing tower is going crazy at the moment with all the pit stops and everybody shuffling around. I've seen more green and red of drivers making up some spots and other drivers losing out some spots. The green and red on the pit entry, pit lane, and pit exit sort of calls and all that stuff. I have been there. There's so many green and red on screen at any single point in time. And yellow, too. It looks like a traffic light more often than not. As speaking of yellow, yellow gap between Nathaniel Schramm and Dmitry Lukanov. So Lukanov, who's been oh so close to victory overall in the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors, has a very good shot to do it here in the Spec Racer Fords.
Yeah, absolutely. Lukanov having a great race, has been up in the top 3 or 4 pretty much since the start. As I'm looking down, Felix Samoas is our, potential race leader as the first car who has pitted. Ian Joyner right behind him. Then Antonio Reis and Yangshi Lin are sitting there at P7 and 8. So those will be your top 4 with Kane Lasky in 5th. As there we go, the rest of the field coming in. Lukanov, Schramm, and Gardini coming in on this lap.
Yeah, so right as we are expecting the pit stops to now officially with us, up at the front is Lukanov, Schramm, and Gardini, all going to come down pit lane along with Matt Thompson. He comes in from fourth, and that'll give the race lead back to Felix Samozi and Joyner right there in tow. Antonio Reese and Yachi's a little bit farther behind, but two Weekend Warriors veterans, you'd expect them to work together. Right as I say that, as it goes side by side, heading down the start-finish straightaway, just making me out to be a damn fool, playing me like a fiddle. As I actually have the cars right in front of them of Lukanov and Schramm, who swapped spots in the pit stop. Lukanov able to jump in front of Schramm, who has had some troubles down pit lane this season, must be said.
Yeah, about 1.1 seconds quicker on his pit stop. Lukanov over Schramm, so was able to jump him, but Schramm looks like he has jumped back as Lukanov has dropped down to P5. But you see the battle there. You've got the top two of Joyner and Samoa's out in front by about 2 seconds over Schramm, but then you've got a big group of cars all the way down to Lasky and P7 that are about 2 seconds apart. So once Joyner and Samoa's, there will be a point in time where Samoa's will try and make a move to get around and take over the lead. That's when we're going to start seeing that second group start tightening that gap up, and that's when there'll be race on.
Yeah, so now as we get into the final 10.5 minutes of this, the fight is on throughout this field. Everybody knows what they have to race for. They have a good picture as to what battles they're going to be involved in, what battles they aren't going to be involved in. And then from there, you can really hone in on what you want to focus on as we get to the very end of this race. Ian Joyner still up at the front. Dimitri Lukanov leading in Spec 2, as Antonio Reese right behind is your current leader in the Masters category. It's Kane Lasky, Alexander Gorson, Bergmani and Claudio Gardini completing your top 10 as it stands at the current moment. I've seen some retirements, but overall, 32 cars out there on the racetrack still, despite the attrition that we have seen at many points in time, has been a somewhat smooth race with maybe a couple of blips here and there.
Yeah, absolutely. We see Jason Green making a pass on Rich Meesters to take over P12, so a good run there coming through Rivazza. As now Jason has that run and he's got a little bit of help behind. Is he going to get a little bit of a push to try and hold on to that position? Meester's really hanging tough on the inside line there. And looks like we're going to go 3 wide going down into the first chicane. It's probably not the best idea in the world. Let's see hanging out. And we see Meesters and we see Jason Green smartly just kind of back out of that and gets through there, stays in P13. Meesters hanging on to P12. And trying to close that gap up to Kevin Adrian's about 1.3.
As we take a look at some replays of some of the drama that's been going on throughout this race here, Sergio Dorelli, I think those airnet issues have gone the way of the Dodo Bird, but unfortunately his grip has too, as he headed his way through Rivazza, rejoins right in front of Yachi Lin, and a huge snap, a big overcorrection as he headed his way through turn 15 and going to auger straight into that tire bundle. That's going to take him out of contention. Seeing some black flags as well, one for Gradwell, another for Cathcart, so the two Aussies going to get struck with some pretty big penalties at the end of this race, as Edgar Sancinelli may have had his own fair share of drama in the 257 car. Yes, he did. That's a little spin. I believe that is also off through Rivazza.
Yeah, looks like the same corner there as we got Gorson here coming through. Oh, a lot of curb there and too much speed for the second part. As you lose grip, it's kind of hard to brake when the tires are not touching the track surface there, and just carries too much speed through. Ends up spinning just a little bit. Manages to keep it into the gravel and not into the wall. So as we see, the battle here is now a half second, and this will close up really quickly as Samoa's gets that nice draft down the front straight.
And now I gotta wonder whether or not it will. Yeah, there we go. That's the way you do it. Heading your way down the start-finish straight away. Yanchi Lin clocking in a personal best lap of the race there at a 158.6. But I wonder whether these racers have an opportunity to close up that gap. Now, it's gone down a decent amount already in this jibber-jabber of mine. It's Felix Samoas. It's had some sort of drama as he headed his way off through Tamburello. He's lost down some time to Ian Joyner. That gap now growing to about a second, just now breaking below it. But that could be the bridge that strings this back battle together. I was just going to say, that's a bit of a big gap that SRF had to the back end of that Joyner and Samoa's fight. Both Samoa is dropping down and losing some time. Don't think it was a slowdown. I think it just had a sideways snap through Tamburello. If they can play their cards right, this could very easily turn into a 4-car battle here.
Yeah, absolutely. As Felix needs to kind of settle back in and get the car back under him and really focus on getting a good exit out of these final couple of corners so he can get a good run down the front straight. Really wants to close that gap under a second. He's got it just under a second now, with SRF under a second to him. Yangshi right there. Lukanov dropped off a bit back down to P5, so I'm not sure if he maybe had a little issue with one of the corners as well, but he has got Reese and Lasky in tow. So now Felix is, like I said, just got to get through Ravazza here, get settled, get a good run out of the corner, and try and get a good draft down and close that gap. He's only got a couple of laps left to get this done, so he needs to tighten that gap up quickly as best he can.
Yeah, now with less than 6 minutes to go in this race, we're getting into crunch time. I think everybody knows that the tension is starting to build. Interesting line for me and Joyner trying to break the slipstream as he ran all the way out to the outside curb. Black flag in the air for Claudio Gardini along with Michela Viglini, so that's going to affect those two. Just realized their names kind of rhymed there potentially. That may just be my brain kind of playing tricks on me. I think they do rhyme there, although I didn't pay attention too much into English class. You can tell. He's now still battling with Kevin Adrian, so we take a look at what may have happened to Michela Viglini in the 319 car. This is heading out of the chicane. Actually, yeah, heading out of the chicane through into Ravazza right about now, letting all the traffic blow his doors off, and then maybe a bit of contact trying to get back up and rolling. Okay, so I think that may have just been good sportsmanship from Michela Viglini. No other added in bits of drama to that.
Nope, just letting everybody get through and allowing the cars to continue to race. So he is back out and moving again, as we see now Martin Visser with a black flag. So the drive-throughs are starting to ramp up. Sorry, it's been a long day.
Felt that. Felt that absolutely. Yeah, I was going to share this fact for a little bit later on in the show. Here's a terrifying stat. This is officially my 400th broadcast this year.
Good Lord.
And I'm not sure how to feel about that. I didn't know how to feel about it to start, and then at lunch a little bit earlier, between the show that I was doing earlier today and this one, my best friend and roommate said, yeah, so you started talking in your sleep last night, and all I heard was you murmuring about some broadcasting-related stuff. I'm like, you know what? I should go out and touch some grass. This is getting bad.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's time to take a little bit of a break and get outside and enjoy the nice weather. If you still have nice weather up there, because I know it's not going to be great for much longer, for sure. Obviously, as we now Nate SRF there with the fastest lap of the race, 157.62. As he's looking, Samoa's looking to the inside there. As this group is now 4 cars up at the front, so we've tightened up. So here we go. So now we got a 4-car battle for the race victory here, as Lynn losing a little bit of time there, dropping off just a little bit, but they have kind of checked out over Lukanov, Lasky, and Reese sitting there in that second pack.
White flag will be in the air next time by for these racers too. So as much as they're packed up and paired up in the front, they don't have a lot of time to sort out their differences. So may start to see the aggression begin to boil over as we move along throughout the rest of this lap. Ian Joyner still at the front. That's a black flag for Rich Meesters in the 964 car. So I think you hit the nail right on the head earlier on this broadcast, Charles, saying that it would probably be very easy to pick up a black flag. It most certainly has been, as black flags have been quite plentiful here. The black flag harvest has been truly amazing.
It really has. As we're coming down, I think they're taking white flag next time by. You see the 3-car battle up here. I think maybe Youngster Lynn is seeing what's happening up front and say, I'm going to give these guys just a little bit of room and let them do their thing with Lukanov now with a slowdown. That's going to drop him down behind Reese. and it looks like he's got it cleared, so he stays in front of Lasky for the time being. But that group is still about 5 seconds back off of this front four. As we come around Ravazza one more time, and here we go with the white flag lap.
Yeah, and let's have some fun. The white flag in the air. One more lap of racing action here at Imola. Ian Joyner crossing the line with about a 10th and a half between himself and Felix Simoes. Nathaniel Schramm right in tow as they go 3 wide, heading their way into Tamburello. Schramm on the outside, Simoes in the middle. Ian Joyner holding on to that tight and technical inside line. He's going to back out first. Schramm backs out second, and Simoes jumps into the race lead. Now look at Yanxi Lin, maybe going to try and go side by side with Schramm, maybe going to make it 3 wide as well. Disqualification for Steve Saunders a little bit farther in the back, as it's still side-by-side racing with Schramm and Joyner. That's heading their way out through Villeneuve. They're going to get tussled off pretty badly and give a bit of a gap to Felix Simoes. Now 0.8 of a second as they head their way through head their way through Toza for the final time.
Yeah, heading up the hill, up to Piratella, and they're still sitting side-by-side. That is Schramm and, I believe, Yanxi Lin, and maybe Ian Joyner, I'm sorry, sitting there in third and fourth. We get Dan Wood with a slowdown. They finally settled back down, and Felix Simoes has got a nice 0.6 of a second gap. So we not have much time, so it might be a drag race to the line here, but these guys have got to settle down for just a couple of corners and try and tighten that gap up.
Yeah, even if that was Ravazza that they were heading their way off through a few moments ago when it was actually Toza, it would probably result in the exact same finish unless Nathaniel Schramm, Yanxi Lin, and Ian Joyner can power their way past in a long run up to the line here. I think it is going to come the way of Felix Simoes. He won a little bit earlier on this weekend with the Formula V's running at Lebanon. Maybe able to get another good result here as side-by-side racing with Ian Joyner and Yanxi Lin. Lin a little bit sideways as he heads his way through turn number 14, but they're not going to be able to mount a charge. Felix Simoes, who started this race up towards the front, is going to finish directly at the front. Felix Simoes going to come across the line to win it here at Imola. Nathaniel Schramm will come home right behind in second. Ian Joyner will complete your podium as Yanxi Lin gives a photo finish right there in the back of the shot. Only 38 thousandths of a second the gap at the line. Another photo finish with Antonio Reese and Dmitry Lukinov, your two respective winners in Masters and Spec 2, as we still have some battles for some of the lesser spots inside the top 10 and some of the top spots out of it. But what a race that we had here at Imola. We were expecting a venture off into the unknown, and that venture off into the unknown was pretty darn exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. As I'm sitting here looking as Cathcart and Dorelli, the one thing you never want to get is a black flag on the last lap. That's exactly what they've got showing on theirs, as we have Meesters crossing the line in 16th, Matt Thompson finishing 17th, Murakami 18th. Nunez and Andrew Middleton will bring up P20. But yeah, it's kind of exactly what we expected. Very technical track, very difficult track to get just perfect. Had some really good side-by-side racing. Had a couple incidents, and then, of course, the sausage curbs doing what the sausage curbs do when you run across them. So saw some incidents with that as well. But really good race and a nice battle up front on the last lap there, with Simoes getting the upper hand and getting the race victory.
So what a race. What a battle that we saw all throughout, with all of the dicing throughout the field, whether it be up at the front, right towards the tail end of the top 10, or farther behind. Those racers gave us one heck of a show here. Some black flags still outstanding for the likes of Sergio Dorelli and Brad Cathcart, so that'll cause them to drop down even farther from where they already are. Steve Saunders with that DQ, he's going to be at the very best 31st. There's only one more car left to come across the line, that being Jerome Sater, as he comes across in P28, fittingly in the number 28 car. That will change those. As a result, the penalty from Sergio Dorelli will probably be 27th for him here in this race at Imola today. What a race, though. What an action-packed round of this championship, as we look to see the jumping shenanigans. You'll love to see it, and here's Jason Green gonna lead them off. This heading down into the Villeneuve chicane, so I'm kind of scared what we may have here as he skips over the gravel trap. He's barely moving on the other side of it because these cars are rather light and the gravel traps are anything but. I'm a little bit nervous as to what we're going to see, if I'm honest.
Oh, there we go. Wad him up there in the corner. Yeah, was a head-on collision there as these guys are breaking their cars. That's a tradition here in the Weekend Warriors, sponsored by Metro Auto Rebuild. And I'm sure those guys that work on cars day in and day out look forward to doing some repairs on these spec racers when they bring them into the shop to get them fixed up for next week's festivities, so they can break them all over again.
Yeah, I gotta feel bad for the for the pit crews having to be like, oh man, how did you bend the chassis so much that the rear end housing is right next to the front suspension? How did you manage that? That I can't say that hasn't happened before. I'm pretty sure if I was behind the wheel of one of these cars, I'd probably somehow be able to do that by just sheer unbridled accident. As we see these cars battered and bruised with gravel all over the track through turn number 7. I think this may be a good time to take a look at the championship, the race results before we see a driver strike the moon here. If we had some championship points to give out though for the crashing, Jason always gets clobbered the hardest. That man probably has some sort of concussion with the amount of time that he gets whacked with a car missile at the end of this race. But let's go through the results. Felix Moes is your winner. He wins it by about 0.6 of a second between himself and Nathaniel Schramm in second. Ian Joyner rounds out your podium in third. It's Yanchi Lin finishing in fourth. Kane Lasky in fifth. Antonio Reese in sixth. Dmitry Lukanov in seventh. Those two winning in the Masters and Spec 2 categories respectively, with Jurg Mani, Kevin Adrian, Alexander Gorson rounding out your top 10.
Yep, Jason Green finishing in 11th. Dan Wood finishes in 12th. Josh Justice 13th. Claudio Gardini in 14th. Joaquin Osbeck finishes in 15th. Rich Meester's final step on the Masters podium in 16th. Matt Thompson finishing in 17th. Chris Murakami finishes in 18th. Kurt Nunez finishing in 19th. Andy Middleton finishes in 20th. Adam Bradshaw 21st. Chris Thorpe 22nd. Andrew Love 23rd. Tom Gradwell 24th, Edgar Santinelli in 25th, Andre Zvoda finishes in 26th, Jerome Sater finishes in 27th, Sergio Dorelli finishing in 28th, drops down after the black flag on the final lap. Brad Cathcart finishing in 29th, Michele Villini finishing in 30th, Steve Saunders 31st, Martin Visser 32nd, Christoph Langendock finishing in 33rd, Dirk Braun 34th, Jeff Jacobson 35th, Alice Pleva finishing in 36th, Josh Wilkie 37th, Steve Tucker finishing in 38th. Angel Soto did not take the start and will be classified in 39th. Yo, Ron?
Oh, there we go. That was me having my microphone muted. Pure professionalism there, folks. But there are your results for round number 8 of the Metro Auto Rebuild Weekend Warriors League season here at Imola. Our congratulations go out to your race winners, and I think we'll be able to have a chat with some of them here soon. Charles, I had a chat with Felix yesterday during the Formula V broadcast, so I think I'm going to let you have a chat with him here, if you don't mind.
That works, because I had a chat with Antonio Reese earlier. So,
beautiful.
So let's bring Felix in and we'll have a chat with him. Felix, hey, congratulations on the race victory. Pretty good
Thank
battle
you.
up there with Schramm, Joyner, Yangshi Lin jumping in. Lukanov was up there quite a bit as well. So talk about your race from the front, because it was obviously Imola, very challenging track to just kind of get right lap after lap.
Yes, definitely. I really like this track. I've always loved this track for the last over 20 years. I'm doing sim racing. But it's as I said, it's a very difficult track to master and to have to do it right and consistently for 20 laps. It's very hard. I don't think I was the fastest person out there, definitely not. Both Ian and Nathaniel were probably faster on pace, on raw pace. So that's why I didn't even try to go in front in the first half of the race. I just stayed back, tried to save fuel as much as I could. And then the last lap, then there was this situation where I was just commenting with Ian. I don't know what happened. I don't remember braking too late, but I sure did, because I almost rear-ended him going into the first corner. Mm-hmm. And that caused like a perfect bridge for Nathaniel, because like in terms of draft, because I put him within draft and I was still within draft from Ian, so that pulled us all together. And then the last lap, and then off tracks, I forgot about those. I still had plenty, so and it was just pushing as hard as I could. And then in the last lap, I got lucky, like it happened. Like someone wrote in the comments, I used the same strategy as Guido on VIR with the V's. And Nathaniel and Ian got a bit tangled fighting for second place, and gave me a breathing space that I could luckily keep until the end of the lap, and then winning the race like that.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was a perfect strategy. Just that run down into the first chicane, and just managed to get through there, and left the two cars that you were battling with each other, and gave you just enough room to sneak out in front. So
exactly.
Great bit of driving. Yeah, great bit of driving by you. So I'm going to ask this question over the air because I just don't know. Where are we racing next week?
We are racing at Road America next time out. Caught me off guard. I didn't have my notes up.
Road America, obviously draft heavy track. Some challenging bits through the mid-sector, but overall it's just going to be how much can you draft and how late can you brake?
Yes, exactly. It's going to be one of those races, saving fuel until the pit stop as much as you can, and then after the pit stop, we will have a couple of packs. I don't know. It depends on how things go. I like Road America. It's one of my favorite tracks. So let's see how it goes.
There you go, Felix. Well, congratulations on your victory today, and we'll let you give any thanks or shout outs, and then we'll let you go celebrate.
As usual, everyone taking part in the races, and there's always new people coming and new fast people. So it's a nice place to be. I've been here for 5 years, so a shout out to everyone and the admins who keep the league running, and you guys in the commentary. So motion broadcasting is really great to watch after the race or when I cannot race. That's pretty much it.
Well, thank you for the kind words, Felix, and we'll see you next week at Road America.
Thank you. I hope so.
And that right there was Felix Imola, your race winner here today. And before we talk about Road America and the challenge surrounding that, let's have a chat with Antonio Reese, our Masters winner here today. Antonio, welcome in the booth. Good evening. Call from Guido saying, oh, boring. But Antonio, welcome in the booth. I welcome you with full arms. How's it going, man? That was a pretty darn good race.
Yeah, good night. Thank you, Ron. That was a good one. Yeah, it was a little bit... I was expecting to finish in a better position, but it is what it is.
Yeah, still a pretty good race for you. We saw you leading throughout a pretty big portion of it. I want to ask you about driving the Spec Racer forward on this track, because we don't usually see this combination be run too often, but it looks super fun.
Yeah, I love the track. I know the track and the car as well, so it was really fun to me too, and I enjoy a lot. It was really, every single moment was a pleasure.
Yeah, I can imagine that was a super, super fun race out there on the track. I always love to see you out there on the circuit, and you gave us one heck of a battle throughout. Next time, though, we're going to be racing at Road America in 1 week. That is going to be a draft-heavy race if ever one has been seen. So you want to give us a preview as to what to expect there?
Well, it's always about the draft. So whatever you can manage the draft enough, good, well, you may stay in the front or even win the race if you get. But it's going to be tight. People is going to stay behind all the time. Even the slower guys and the faster guys cannot get away. So it's going to be nice to see and nice to race as well.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be a very fun race to look forward to, and I'm sure we'll probably see you out there on the racetrack for it, Antonio, but as ever, we'll let you give any thanks or shout-outs before we let you go.
Yeah, for you guys on the broadcast, and also for the Steel Ray, and as well for the sponsors and all the drivers and all the people watching. and my wife. Of course, this is the most important, so I can race because she allow me.
Yeah, there you go. Always got to shout out the wife. But Antonio, thank you for joining us here in the booth. Well done on the Masters win, and looking forward to seeing you out there at Road America next time out.
Yeah, nice to see you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
You have a good one. That right there was Antonio Reese joining us in the broadcast booth to have a little chat, and looks like we have some more drivers up there. So Charles, I think we'll do the final interview. I'll let you have dibs on the last driver that we'll have a chat with today.
Well, let's bring Nathaniel Schramm in. We've talked with Ian quite a bit. I don't want to shortchange Ian because he always drives well, but let's bring in Schramm in here, our P2 finisher. Nathaniel, or is it Nathaniel or Nate or either?
You know, it goes by anything. Parents call me Nathaniel when I'm in trouble. Friends call me Nate. Elderly people call me Nathan. I answer to whatever.
There we go. Well, I'm going to call you Nate because I don't want to be connected with your parents and you being in trouble. So Nate, congratulations on the P2. Looked like a very difficult race out there. Just as far as the track, trying to keep this car, between the lines, looked like a chore for a lot of the drivers, but you handled it really well. You ran up front, and just on that last lap, just maybe got a little boxed in with your battle with Ian Joyner, and end up not quite having enough to catch back up to Felix at the end.
Yeah, I made my job more difficult because I overfueled by 2 laps. So I can't do math. I can drive the car, I can't do math. But yeah, it was, really tricky trying to, stay within the lines and try to maintain the X's. But it was a lot of fun, a lot more fun than I thought it would be. It's really, really fun racing. And yeah, last lap there, I saw the opportunity to make it 3 wide, and turn 1 is such a great spot to make the passes here, so had to take the effort. And then unfortunately, I think into Villeneuve, the second chicane, we had a little bit of net code, but it worked out. My car slid right in front of Ian, but just didn't have the pace to catch Felix by the end of the lap. So.
Yeah, and that was kind of the story of the race. But obviously, you had some great pace. I think Phillips even said that you and Ian were probably both faster than him, but just a little bit of strategy played out at the end there enabled him to get the victory. So next week we'll be at Road America. Obviously, quite a bit different track than what we had to deal with today. So, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, Road America will be my first repeat race for joining this league, because that was the first race that I did with this league last season. So it'll be interesting to see, if I've learned anything and if gotten any faster. But I'm looking forward to it. It's a big draft track, so that's going to be just thinking about where do you want to be, come lap 1. What place in the line do you want to be to get across the line by the end of the lap? So. Going to be a big thinking race, that one, I believe.
I think you're absolutely right. So, Nate, congratulations again, P2, and we'll let you give any thanks or shout outs, and let you go celebrate your second place finish tonight.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I'd like to thank you guys for doing the broadcast as always. Great fun. I'd like to thank supporter Tim Poole and his girlfriend Selma, who are generally in the chat supporting me there. It's always nice to see them. Like to thank the league for putting it on. Like to thank my team, 3 Oceans Racing, and our sponsors, Turner Machine Development and Gager and Sons Electric. Always great to have them on the car and supporting us. So yeah, awesome.
All right, Nate, well, congratulations again, and we'll see you next week at Road America.
Awesome, thank you.
And that right there was Nathaniel Schramm, your podium finisher at the end of today. Finished this race in second, just barely behind Felix Moas. But Charles, that was a pretty darn good race here at Imola. I was expecting some fire, and we most certainly got it. But speaking of fire, that's probably going to be the way that we could describe the racing next time out as the series rocks up to Road America.
Yeah, it is. Everybody that's involved in this knows what to expect from Road America. Just big draft straightaways. Lots of late braking. Some successful, some not. We'll see lots of battles going down into turn 5 before we get into that little technical section in the middle. Then we'll get through all that out of the carousel, down through the kink, and into Canada corner, and get a couple more corners there to get back to those big long drafts again. Looking forward to it. It's always a great race when we're there. Lots of side-by-side racing, lots of passing. So really looking forward to an excellent race next week, and a little more liberal on the off track. So normally you get an off track there. Most of the spots it's you're not recovering. So unless you're just very, very lucky. So yeah, it'll be much different type of racing, but still lots of fun with some really, really class drivers. So they'll put on a good show for us.
Yes, I'll always look forward to seeing the action here for the Spec Racer Fords here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Once again, I want to thank Metro Auto Rebuild for sponsoring this season of action on Slow Motion Broadcasting. And speaking of, if you want to tune into some of the stuff here on SMB, here's what we've got coming up. We do not have XSLR tonight. Instead, we have got the Liberty Bell Series, round number 2 of their season, the All-Female Racing League, running MX-5s at the Charlotte Roval Weekend Warriors staple. Michelle Lynn is going to be out there on the racetrack a little bit later on this evening herself. So if you want to tune into that, you know where to find it. SRG F4 action going to be at Snetterton this upcoming Tuesday. This upcoming Wednesday, we've got a double header with the Extreme Motorsports Ferrari Road and Oval Challenge running at IRP, and the Sim Racers Group F3 Championship running at Watkins Glen. And the next weekend, we've got you covered with Formula V's running at Alton Park, the Formula Fords running at Sonoma, and the Spec Racer Fords making their appearance at Road America, along with XSLR returning for round number 10 at Sonoma. So that's all the actions to look forward to here on SMB. Gives you a very good reason to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. But as to this broadcast here today for round number 8 of the Metro Auto Rebuild Weekend Warriors season, that will just about do it. So for myself, Ron Maunz, and Charles Beauchel joining me in the commentary booth with Guido Marzucchi working on the cameras and the graphics and the virtual production hauler, I say thank you all so very much for tuning into the action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting today, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.